Like there's one, influential accounting YouTuber where he talks through a whole Claude video where they're taking literally 6,700 transactions from 12 different PDF bank feeds. And they're able to comb through and reconcile it pretty decently within a half an hour. Even if there's a lot of errors and problems with that, that's crazy powerful.
Welcome to Growing Your Business with Buddy Broyles, helping businesses share their voice, build authority, and grow through meaningful conversations. So joining me today on the Growing Your Business podcast is my friend Harley Liechty with Get Better Bookkeeping. How you doing?
Hi, doing good, man. How about yourself?
Very, very well. So glad to have you in the studio. We've been talking about this for a while.
Yeah.
And now you're here. So let's talk about your business, Get Better Bookkeeping. What do you do? How do you help people, and what sets you apart?
So we provide bookkeeping and CFO services for small local businesses across the nation.
Nice.
We've been around for about 3.5 years now. And the Lord's been very fortunate to us, where at this point now we're supporting the books for about 125 different businesses across the nation at a time. And we'll pretty soon bring on our 12th team member to the crew that I can't do anything without. So, there's a whole lot more about how the heck we're here, but I'm very grateful and fortunate to serve folks like this. So.
Well, you've had excellent growth in 3.5 years.
Thank you.
And every business struggles to grow at all. What you're doing is adding staff. You're over 100 customers. What would you say, from your customer's perspective, sets you apart? What makes you different in what you do?
I would say the two main reasons why why our folks enjoy working with us is we have a weekly routine with our work. We tell our folks every week, your bookkeeper is supposed to be touching your accounts, updating things at least once a week. And the reason why that's so important is because, really the folks that have worked with other bookkeepers and accountants know this, but the details always seem to be very behind with their work. And, even if they are professionals doing a lot of good work, for whatever reason, a business owner will try and ask about how things are going with their accounting or profit and loss statements or whatever. And there's always like I still have questions from 4 months ago, or we're getting to that. And, I can talk more about my theories about why that is, but this is just a common reaction. And business owners, especially the smaller ones, like your local bakery coffee shop that people like, or the plumber that's just got a couple trucks trying to figure things out, they want to know answers now about, hey, I feel like I'm busy as ever, and I feel like I'm charging competitively. Why am I not making money at the end of the day?
Interesting.
And the only way you're really going to know those facts, folks, is if you actually know your numbers and know what the heck's going on a regular basis. And so we're insistent on that. And furthermore, we also require financial review meetings.
Interesting.
Because you could have all the details in the world, but if you're not taking time out to actually look at this information and use it to make good decisions, then in my opinion, it's worth nothing.
Right.
So we try to make it easy, and we know that small business owners, are fighting tooth and nail for any time they can have on their hands, because there's always so much to do. So we follow up and pre-schedule, oftentimes monthly financial review meetings to take them out of their element on Zoom or in our office. We're right now in Tulsa and Oklahoma City for office spaces, but you come in, we run the show. Pull up your financials, profit and loss, balance sheet, cash flow details, ask you ins and outs questions of what's going on in the field for you, compare it to the goals that you have for this year, and, make sure you leave with clear action steps based on those facts about what the heck you should be spending your time on. So I'd say those are the two main reasons, weekly touches to keep up with things, and those required review meetings to make sure it's really useful.
I tell you a mistake. I run a couple businesses, and a mistake I've made, Harley, is focusing on gross revenue and saying, "Oh, we have money," right? Like in the early days, it's like, "Oh, we have money,"
right?
Without someone like you in your business showing you that, well, you're receiving money, but where is the money going? And there are so many little things that we business owners spend money on that we don't think costs us much.
Sure.
But when you add it up and you have someone like you and your team analyzing, say, wait a second, you're spending this much on paper products. Did you know how much of your revenue is going to paper product or those or supplies, things that plumbers would use? So it's really important to have someone who is, especially the frequency of meetings that you're having.
Yeah.
Because in a couple of weeks, things can go wrong.
Totally.
You can. I hadn't met you, so I have a bookkeeper I know and trust right now.
Yeah, that's
but
great.
We hadn't met yet. But they, we have a regular meeting, and she asks lots of great, important questions like, Buddy, what is this, and how important is that to your business? Right.
Okay, good.
So I want to transition to how and why you started this business. I mean, you didn't just wake up one day and like, I'm going to do this. What were you before, and what was your reasoning for wanting to do what you do?
Yeah. No, because this is, I would say, a little random, this business opportunity. Because when I went to school for my undergrad, I didn't study accounting. I studied business marketing, and I have no background in an accounting job at all. When I got out of college after a few months of floundering, I found a spot getting trained to be a business coach
Interesting.
in like a startup coaching business in Tulsa. And so, for 5 years, I had the opportunity to meet with all sorts of these local businesses, across the nation to wrestle around with all sorts of growth issues. How do you generate leads and convert sales? How do you even find good candidates and bring them onto your team and manage them well, and just anything, ins and outs. But out of all those growth issues, in my opinion, there was a very consistent one that kept coming up with everybody, and it's that no one knew their numbers. And just like I talked about, unfortunately, whenever they would hire professionals in order to keep track of this stuff, more times than not, I'm glad you have a positive experience with your person. This is good. But more,
and if I may caveat that, the previous one I did not. I hired a different firm, someone your level and credibility, because my previous accounting situation, we were over-reporting. Let's just say we went back and did 3 years of forensic cleanup because it was that bad. Yeah, but this isn't my story. This is yours.
Right.
So therefore, Harley, I know the importance of having a really good, better bookkeeping.
Well, and what's crazy for folks that are not entrepreneurs or business owners is that is so common.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, where a lot of folks don't take the time and energy to go and like say, hey, I know I already filed taxes, but this was so bad we should investigate. But yeah, this is just apparently a plaguing issue.
It is
in our industry, where even if people have certifications to be a CPA, it's just unfortunately folks, especially I would argue smaller business folks that are making $1 million or less in annual sales, they get treated like they're small fries, small fish.
Yep.
But I mean, I don't know. That was the fortune of me and my business coaching. Those were most of the folks I dealt with.
Yeah.
So basically my whole professional short career has been around the local small businesses. And, I guess I just have a heart and empathy to really provide something that I feel like they need the most out of any businesses out there. So yeah, I don't know. It was through the business coaching where I kept seeing this as very much a see a need, meet a need issue, to where it was like, hey, this is how you get the facts at the end of the day. Why is this not being delivered in a manner where it actually is helpful to people?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Fantastic. Well, I think there's value to people who, I'd say, transition from either education or passed into a different business, because you have perspectives that others who start, let's say they and no fault at all to people who are degreed accountants. They at 7, they're like, I'm going to be an accountant. I'm going to be a bookkeeper.
Great.
Right. God bless you. Because
we need somebody to be nerds.
You're right. Right. And we love you. We love you so much.
Yeah.
But having kind of a dual perspective helps you run a business and meet people where they are.
Well, and this has been a growing thing actually in our industry where since I started and more so, it's been preached that accountants and folks in the industry are growing in advisory services. Not only because, strategically it creates like higher ticket value with each of their clients, but I think everyone's also understanding like, hey, just getting a number cruncher to take care of stuff, like small businesses are slowly wising up to like, hey, we need a lot more than this.
Mhm.
Like we can demand a better quality of service from these people that is actually helpful. And then furthermore, I would say, not that we have to go on a rabbit trail about AI, but I strongly believe that the folks that will leverage the enhancement and influence of AI are folks that are leaning into really being specialists
Mm.
and really being consultative voices where, yes, you can do inquiries into GPT or Claude or whatever, and it will give you smart insights, but people are still going to want a very seasoned human interaction, which is why I believe you're also safe too.
Yes.
It's just
We're having a human interaction
yeah,
right now.
right, yeah. The
And you
people
out
are
there
gonna
listening
crave
and
that
watching.
more and more.
Yeah, we're being people right now. So I do want to go down that rabbit hole because
Okay.
people where AI is, and I have the luxury of I produce a cybersecurity podcast with one of my clients,
Right.
and I see into the world of small business owners. I mean, they're usually desperate, tired, up to this in work if they're lucky.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, I'll just put my accounting stuff into AI and do kind of get advice. I'll use ChatGPT as my bookkeeper / accountant for advice. We both agree that's a terrible idea. Let's talk about why that is.
Yeah. Well, I would say one of the biggest reasons is that it's still so new.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, it's amazing how sophisticated and intelligent this stuff is.
Mm-hmm.
And it is coming for the accounting world for sure. Like, I've been seeing other, people that have LinkedIn followings or, people in the accounting space. And this year in particular is the first one where accounting firms are really seeing, oh, it's like actually doing stuff very helpful for us. Like there's one, influential accounting YouTuber called Jason Stats, where he talks through a whole Claude video where they're taking thousands upon thousands, I think literally 6,700 transactions from 12 different PDF bank feeds. And they're able to comb through and reconcile it pretty decently within a half an hour. Yeah. So that's even if there's a lot of errors and problems with that, that's crazy powerful. So it's coming. But at the end of the day, even after years and years of enhancements and really getting it good, the transition all accounting firms are going to have to go through, in my humble opinion, being naive into this
no one has a
industry,
crystal ball right now.
Yeah. Is that the accountants and bookkeepers that are able to take their firms from them being the minutia number crunchers themselves to turning into advisors and reviewers and auditors are the ones that are going to end up still being successful in the years to come.
Yeah.
The first iteration of that has been folks farming out and outsourcing their work overseas, Philippines, India, all that kind of stuff. There's been folks that do that and have figured out a decent relationship. I haven't really seen any firms where they've been floored by like how awesome that experience is. More so just honestly, a profit, move for accounting firms.
Yep.
That was the first iteration of it. Now it's through AI that's going to go into that. And so I guess our strategic move in order to really keep up with some of the top more modern firms out there is like this year for me has been very much leaning into, okay, we got to figure out how we utilize Claude on a regular basis, how we get that integrated with all of our team members, how we make things much more automated and just working smarter.
Yep.
And, after first 3 years of just my number one priority anxiety was just like get more business in the door, grow, this has been the first year, fortunately, where it's been, hey, that's no longer my greatest anxiety. Okay, I can shift focus to much more like working on the business efficiency stuff, So we'll see how it continues.
Sure.
But again, very fortunate and thankful to the Lord that, through this, swervy direction in life that he's still taking care of us,
Yeah.
So,
well, you do good work and good work comes to you. Right.
Thanks.
And that's what I know about you. The important thing with AI is it's a tool. You still need the value of the things you had mentioned, having those regular meetings, analysis, and advice. You can't get that from AI. At some point, maybe a little bit, but still, people talk to people. People learn from people, and AI is a tool. It'll continue to evolve.
We're both in networking circles.
Yes.
Right. Business networking for many of you folks watching, listening. What's the common phrase is that we refer folks that we know, like, and trust.
Amen.
How do you really know, like, and trust a software?
No, you don't.
Or a fake AI thing,
Right.
That just doesn't really,
Yeah, it'd be like liking and trusting a hammer. It's a tool.
Yeah,
it's
great.
Not, it doesn't, I definitely don't want to hit a nail with my fist. I'm going to use that hammer, right? But I'm not going to refer somebody to a hammer. I'll let them borrow it and whatnot. Ready to amplify your brand's voice? At Blue Mike Studios, we transform your ideas into captivating podcasts and videos. Whether you're launching your own show or guest starring on ours, we've got you covered. From recording and editing to social media promotion. With state-of-the-art 4K video and crystal clear audio, your content will shine. We offer guest packages on our podcasts and offer segments from the show for you to share. Or let us help you build your own branded podcast with custom strategy, branding, and full production support. Visit BlueMikeStudios.com today and let your voice be heard. Moving on from the AI topic, everybody likes a story, Harley. So let's talk about of your vast amount of customers and growing. Let's talk about somebody who came to you with a problem. You help them solve that, and where are they now? You don't necessarily have to mention names. It's more like a scenario.
Yeah, Buddy, fortunately, we've got a few of these, which is nice. And again, this is not me talking about how awesome I am. I have a really great team of people I can't do anything without. But the biggest thing to really highlight is honestly not the folks that have had screaming growth success. Because honestly, a lot of the small business owners that I would think might be listening to this have had some tougher times in these past years.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you could rattle off so many examples of why that is in these past couple.
I tell you, most of us starting 2020, early 2020 was a hard hit.
Right.
And it's been weird since.
Yep. Absolutely. Yes. The world's only been weird in the 2020s.
Yep.
That's just kind of nuts to think about. Very different than the Roaring 20s.
Yes, 100 years ago. Yeah. I don't know what this will be named in 20 or 30 years, but it's definitely
the screaming 20s.
It's a period of time that will be taught in history.
Sure. The fun fact overall, and I'll give some specific examples, is that while last year we've done it for a couple years reviewing growth or differences in annual sales, profitability year over year from our folks.
Mm-hmm.
And while the folks from 2024 to 2025 didn't really grow at all in their annual sales, the typical client, we still, for 2 years in a row now, have been able to see that the typical client that's with us for at least a year improves their net profitability by 4% year over year.
I would take that. Yep.
Yeah, and so
that's a pay raise.
Take that to the size of your client, your business that you're thinking of. But our typical client generates about $750,000 in annual sales.
Yep.
So again, very much the local small business. That's $35,000 a year.
Yeah, I'll take that all day long.
Yeah. That helps. Mm-hmm. Some of the examples I'm thinking of is we've got a gal in Tulsa that's got multiple different retail locations, where she sells kind of like boutique products for folks. It's actually a franchise. And she came in because she had frustrations with her previous people, where she feels like she's bounced around to a couple different teams, can't figure something out, anything timely. So we not only help get things up to date and to speed, and all 3 of these locations communicating with each other well, that are all retail locations. But then the power is being able to equip her with ammunition of, okay, what do I do with this information? So one of the early wins is that, in one of our first couple meetings, I was able to tell her, hey, this location's doing really well, but this one's really lacking. And so in order to hit your break even goal that you want, you need to push your team to hit this goal.
Yep.
So she had a fire under her butt. It was like, oh, cool. I let's get after it. Talk to her manager there. And as a result, that location did better. At the end of that month, surpassed that goal by like $5,000 in sales. That's just like a very small example of like the power of knowing your numbers. But we've now worked with this gal for getting close to a couple years.
Yeah.
And it's a retail space and kind of a boutique product. And for many folks listening to this that are in that space, it's a tough market. So, she's wrestling around with a lot of stuff, but what's important is that we still get wins on being able to see performance and improved profitability throughout the years. And what I find is a blessing in our service is that it's, even if people have tough times, they know they have a resource to go to that isn't their spouse, which sometimes isn't the healthiest thing, or in their own internal thoughts that they wrestle with, but they can go to a team and be like, hey, I'm struggling. And we say, great, we'll wrestle around with you and acknowledge the fact that, hey, this isn't great, but you know what? This doesn't have to be your future. So we always pave a way for whatever the heck the problem is, plaguing debts that people are in, turmoil and staffing, work that's going shorter. Like, okay, let's just take the reality and see what needs to happen in order for you to just keep going and even start to thrive. And, I'll highlight one of my longest clients. The longest client is a tile and flooring guy up in Minnesota, where when he started with me, he was actually a business coaching client, where he started at less than $500,000 a year that he was bringing in with his business. And he had himself and 2 other people on the team and been there for a decade since he had a crash in 08, 09, like a lot of folks.
A lot of people
so
did.
He kept going, but just sustained at that level. And now I've had the fortune where it's been 6 years now, pretty close. And he'll end this year at about $3.5 million in annual sales, bought another competitor, built a 10,000 square foot facility for all of his inventory and work that he does in trucks. And this past couple years, actually, it was a little bit of a wrestling match because he got into this building a couple years ago, and that first year was rough. It's a whole new growing pain but he got through it. And this year he's now being very disciplined. We review the numbers about a couple times a month. And, because of our long relationship, we've built that trust where I can very candidly talk to him and speak truth into his life. And again, fortunately, he's followed along to at least some of it, and he's kept me along so that it's just a really fun story.
Yeah. That is exciting.
But yeah, no, it's and this is just all sorts of folks that we deal with where they have a myriad of problems or starting places. And my job is not to come in and say, oh, you should have known better, or what the heck are you doing?
No wagging the finger.
Yeah. I mean, look, we're both believers. Everybody that goes into church, they have their own crazy backgrounds, right? But as the church, you're supposed to bring them in and say, okay, wherever you're at,
put your baggage down.
You have a new home now.
Yeah.
And let's make things better. And so I really see our business as honestly this, I have that perspective where if really this is a very big thing with the accounting world where they actually not only niche, which can be a very good strategic thing for marketing, but they have favorites or priorities of oh, I only work with people that are doing this or at this echelon. And while some folks that are listening to this, that might be a solopreneur, not even making $250,000 a year annual sales, it's really tough for them to wrap their heads around getting a bookkeeper anyways, just financially. So there's a lot of free resources and tools where you can figure that out yourself. But anybody that comes to us and needs help or has had problems, I want to do whatever I have to do to make myself available to help them.
That's terrific. How do you like to be reached, Harley? What's the best way for them to get to you?
I think we've done a pretty good job. Anywhere you find us online, we look pretty sweet. So our website, you can find us. We have social content on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn more and more.
Excellent.
So
you have lots of doors that they can walk right through.
Yeah, plenty of reviews. In fact, if you liked some of the couple stories I shared, you can actually go to our testimonials page on the website. There's 50 specific case studies of tangibles people have had in improving things financially while they've worked with us. So I can't take all the magic credit of us doing all that. But you know what? At the end of the day, these folks, we delivered them the facts. And then they, as the business owners, took it and did something good with it. Yeah, or just, call us, and I'd be happy to hear anyone's story. And if, even if they are a smaller business that, can't figure it out yet, just, reach out. I want to be helpful to you,
One of my favorite phrases, Harley, is the planting the tree analogy. The best time was 10 years ago, 20 years ago. The second best time, especially for the small solo entrepreneurs and new people, the second best time to hire someone like yourself and your team is right now.
Yeah,
because you really don't know what you don't know and how it's hurting you. Parting thoughts for those people, before I get there, everybody, all the links that Harley has given me for his business and their socials are in the show notes. So scroll down on any platform you're on; it is there. Click through, get in touch, and that's really what I want you to remind people about right now. Harley, is for people who are they don't know what they don't know, and they're concerned, like, oh, this is going to cost me a fortune to hire a bookkeeper. I want you to tell them what you would tell yourself in their situation.
There are so many crazy things going on. Like we just talked about, this has been the screaming 20s rather than the roaring 20s. So many things in the world that are problems and things to get stressed about. But the greatest thing that you can do right now is take control of what's really under your control. And so if you've got your own business that you're running and trying to build up yourself, that is your baby. Just like when you have a kid, we have kids, it's our responsibility at the end of the day to train them up and make it as awesome of a future human being as possible. And we have that same ownership and responsibility when we decide to create our own businesses. And so you have the power within you right now to take control of the situations and problems that you have, but take your journey very humbly. If you talk to any of the folks that have really done well for themselves, they were open to ask, receive help, get advice. They were not, arrogant enough to think that they could figure things out on their own, even if they've been in the industry for 20 years working for other people. Now that they're on their own and it feels all new, reach out and ask. Authentically good people out there are willing to be helpful without having to charge you money or nickel and dime you or take advantage of you. Yeah. And there's so many people out there that are like that. So y'all do the homework, testimonials, reach out. Anybody that's really trying to make themselves awesome is going to do the hard work to try and make themselves convinced that they're a good resource. And as far as we're concerned, I'm doing my best to live up to my namesake at Get Better Bookkeeping. That wherever you're at, how many people you stop by or you're the first one, I want to be that source where it's a better bookkeeper than you may have had experience with. So.
And as an owner of two small businesses, I can tell you the real helpers in my business are our numbers people.
Yeah.
So Get Better Bookkeeping is definitely a good mantra and a great name. Harley, thanks for coming on the show today, sharing your passion, your education for what you do and your why and your values. It's been great having this conversation with you today.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it.